Well, hello there. Thanks for clicking. My name is Stephanie, and I'm an alcoholic in recovery. March 9th, 2021 is my last alcohol date. And so it's almost been 5 years since I've tasted alcohol. And only because of the magical program of Alcoholics Anonymous have I been able to stay off of the sauce. So I'm an alcohol lover. I don't indulge these days. I'm an alcohol abstinence awareness soldier. So if you could subscribe, that would be great. If you could share this video, that would be great. If you could like this video or thumbs up it, that would be great too. Commenting is even more amazing. Just drop me a line, tell me your name. My name is Stephanie, and it's nice to meet you. I want to give a shout out to two of my friends, two of my fellow Better Than Drinking friends. One's name is Keith, and he's in the UK. Hi, Keith. Shouting out to you. I hope you're doing well wherever this video finds you. Thinking of you today. And Mary in Paris. Thinking of you today. Sorry we couldn't connect on WhatsApp. The schedules are crazy. I'm actually coming to you all today straight from work, straight from it was an hour and 15-minute commute today, which was a gift because the other day was almost 2 hours. But hi, Mary in Paris. I hope you're doing well. It was a long day. I will catch up with you soon on WhatsApp. For now, listen to my video if you can. Fall asleep to it if you will. It doesn't bother me. We are here to absorb the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous because it has a lot of wisdom. It has a lot of things that we can take and use, and a lot of things that we can leave behind, like misogyny and patriarchy. But that's okay. If you want to leave the religion behind too, that's fine. That's what I do. So we are going to pick up in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous where we left off last time, which is chapter 5, How It Works. But before we do that, I am going to read the acceptance passage because this is one of the ways I get through life every day, cope, wrap my head around things that I don't understand or don't like. And this is what runs through my mind. Acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. When I am disturbed, it is because I find some person, place, thing, or situation, some fact of my life unacceptable to me. And I can find no serenity until I accept that person, place, thing, or situation as being exactly the way it is supposed to be at this very moment. Nothing, absolutely nothing, happens in this world by mistake. Until I could accept my alcoholism, I could not stay sober. Unless I accept life completely on life's terms, I cannot be happy. I need not focus on what needs to be changed in the world as on what needs to be changed in me and in my attitudes. That's on page 417 of Alcoholics Anonymous, big book. And that acceptance passage really gets me through the day. I remember that if I accept this the way it is, whatever it is that's bothering me or causing me dysregulation or discontentment, if I can just accept it and adjust my perspective, then I can usually get through in a healthier manner, a little less stressed, a little less angry, a little less resentful. Now, this does not mean I bow down to domineering people and find myself in subservient situations that lack boundaries. No. By working the program, you will find that it's easier for you to set boundaries and keep them clearly and understand that boundaries are something you set. You can set a boundary. It does not require someone to comply. You can still set your boundary, whether or not that person wants to comply or not. That is a one-sided thing, and it is your choice. And that is one of the things we learn in the 12 steps is boundaries, what they are, what they look like, how they feel. Because people who abuse alcohol, they don't understand boundaries. That's so silly. That's like the opposite of what we understand. We're like, no limits, we can do this, right? One of my favorite sayings and cliches and idioms that I learned in the program is have an attitude of gratitude. I love that, an attitude of gratitude. That's great. Why? Number one, because it rhymes. And number two, it's because if you actually shift your mindset to an attitude of gratitude in any given moment, no matter where you are in the world, you will find a perspective shift, a spiritual shift that will lift your spirits organically. It's a situation where you're sitting in traffic, blah, 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 and it sucks, right? But if I have an attitude of gratitude, oh, I'm grateful I have a car. I'm grateful I have the radio. I'm grateful I'm protected from the weather. I'm grateful I'm safe. I'm grateful all these things, right? All of a sudden, my brain is in another place and my heart is open. I can literally feel it inside of my body. And so I propose to you to please have an attitude of gratitude. Whenever you're feeling discontented, if you can't get into the body, into the breaths, into your hands, into your feet, in grounding ideas and thoughts. If you can't do that, then just go straight to thinking, go straight to cerebral and go attitude of gratitude. Remember, a lot of healing comes from the body. So when we're tuning in with the body, are stretching on our yoga mat, we're running, we're hiking, we're taking walks with the quiet, with the birds. This is part of where the healing lies. Hiking, being with nature, it's so important for us. Ooh, I even have this book here that I got for my son for Christmas. I have to show it to you. And I didn't know I love sticks until I had a son who loves sticks. And there's a book about sticks. And I think this is like a social media movement, hashtag Stick Nation, that turned into a hardcover book, but it's adorable. It's quite adorable. It's a glossary of pictures of sticks from around the world, people contributing their photos and telling a little story about their stick. And there's something so infantile and sweet and simple and kind of like dumb, but that's heartwarming because it's not dumb. It's not ignorant. It's quite concise, thought out, and comprehensive. And it's just about sticks, finding a stick, calling your own, and finding a place for that stick in your life. So, with that whimsy aside, thank you for listening to my personal rant. Let's get into the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Page 59, How It Works. Many of us exclaimed, "What an order! I can't go through with it." Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear three pertinent ideas. A, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. C, that God could and would if God were sought. Being convinced we were at step 3, which is that we decided to turn our will and our life over to God as we understood God. Just what do we mean by that, and just what do we do? I will pause there. So in the chapter, How It Works, they're starting to break down all the steps, how it works, how to work the program, what it means. So what that means is if you are new to Alcoholics Anonymous, or you just want to study the big book and you want to get to the meat and potatoes, you start on chapter 5, How It Works. That's where you start. And that's where a lot of our AA meetings start, with the reading of chapter 5. The first requirement is that we be convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. Pause. I'm going to expound on that. What I think they mean there by self-will, I think they mean by selfishness, by things that are only motivated by self. You know, the lack of compassion, humanity, the lack of service, the lack of community. I think that's what they mean by self-will there, because nothing else quite makes sense. The first requirement is that we be convinced that any life run on self-will can hardly be a success. On that basis, we are almost always in collision with something or somebody, even though our motives are good. Most people try to live by self-propulsion. Each person is like an actor who wants to run the whole show, is forever trying to arrange the lights, the ballet, the scenery, and the rest of the players in his own way. If their arrangements would only stay put, if only people would do as they wished, the show would be great. Everybody, including themselves, would be pleased. Life would be wonderful. In trying to make these arrangements, our actor may sometimes be quite virtuous. He may be kind, considerate, patient, generous, even modest and self-sacrificing. On the other hand, they may be mean, egotistical, selfish, and dishonest. But as with most humans, they are more likely to have varied traits. What usually happens? The show doesn't come off very well. They begin to think life doesn't treat them right. They decide to exert themselves more. They become, on the next occasion, still more demanding or gracious, as the case may be. Still, the play does not suit them. Admitting they may be somewhat at fault, they are sure that other people are more to blame. They become angry, indignant, self-pitying. What is the basic trouble? Are they not really a self-seeker, even when trying to be kind? Are they not a victim of the delusion that they can wrest satisfaction and happiness out of this world if they only manage well? I will pause there. The word rest here in the text is spelled W-R-E-S-T, not R-E-S-T, but W-R, meaning, I think, wrestle is what they mean. Is it not evident to all the rest of the players that these are the things they want, and do not their actions make each of them wish to retaliate, snatching all they can get out of the show? Are they not, even in their best moments, a producer of confusion rather than harmony? Our actor is self-centered, egocentric, as people like to call it nowadays. They are like the retired business person who lolls in the Florida sunshine in the winter, complaining of the sad state of the nation. The minister who sighs over the sins of the 20th century. Politicians and reformers who are sure all would be utopia if the rest of the world would only behave. The outlaw safecracker who thinks society has wronged them, and the alcoholic who has lost all and is locked up. Whatever our protestations, are not most of us concerned with ourselves, our resentments, or our self-pity? Selfishness, self-centeredness. So let's pause right there. Yeah, they called that out, right? I mean, as humans, we're self-centered, right? I mean, we are. Think about a toddler. They have to be self-centered to survive and get along in this world. They start losing that self-centeredness and start becoming more empathetic towards others and outside of themselves around the age 3 if they're developing healthily. But a lot of times the self-centeredness, the self-pity, the selfishness comes from a deprivation, a neglect that came earlier in life. If you're put into a trauma state where you're forced to survive instead of thrive, then you will be in a fight or flight where you'll be trying to survive all the time. Take. You'll try to manipulate situations, even subconsciously, just so that you can come up one a little, profit a little in this way or that, not necessarily monetarily, but you're always working something. And it can be from an honest place. But the trauma, the toxicity from the past, needs that were not met, they then become met by our alcohol. And here's where the problem is. I remember nights where I was alone. I was trying to be by myself, living alone in Los Angeles, in Koreatown, in my little apartment. It was dark and scary, and I didn't realize how lonely I was, how alone I was in just the world. I'd never really had that safe place to fall. My parents did not show me the right kind of love. And even as a grown woman, deciding as a serial monogamist to finally just do it on my own for a while, meaning live alone in my 30s. And I did it. But that was when my alcoholism quite took on a little bit stronger vibe in my life, because I was drinking whiskey every night. And looking back, it's because I was lonely and I was scared. And I just needed somebody I trusted to hug me and be like, yeah, I'm here with you. And we're in it together. And we can do this. And it's going to be okay. I have that today because of the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. And because I've taken strong steps to not be selfish and not have self-centeredness. Because when I was drinking, it was all about me. I would constantly try to overcompensate for that self-centeredness with other acts that I would do for and give to my loved ones. But was that authentic, or was I trying to make up for some guilt that I felt? So that selfishness, that self-centeredness, all of us humans possess some of it. What we want to find is that balance where it's not driving unhealthy behaviors. And the big book tells us right here, it is part of who we are as alcohol abusers. And so if we recognize that and recognize where it comes up in our lives, in our day-to-day lives, recognize it, label it, identify it, write it down, talk about it, so we can change it. You can be better, literally one character trait at a time. Back to the text. That we think is the most root of our troubles, the selfishness, the self-centeredness, driven by 100 forms of fear, self-delusion, self-seeking, and self-pity. We step on the toes of our fellows, and they retaliate. Sometimes they hurt us, seemingly without provocation, but we invariably find that at some time in the past, we have made decisions based on self, which later placed us in a position to be hurt. So our troubles, we think, are basically of our own making. They arise out of ourselves, and the alcoholic is an extreme example of self-will run riot. Though they usually don't think so, above everything, we alcoholics must be rid of this selfishness. We must, or it kills us. Higher power makes that possible, and there often seems no way of entirely getting rid of self without the higher power's aid. Many of us had moral and philosophical convictions galore, but we could not live up to them, even though we would have liked to. Neither could we reduce our self-centeredness much by wishing or trying on our own power. We had to have God's help. Neither could we reduce our self-centeredness much by wishing or trying on our own power. We had to have our higher power's help. This is the how and why of it. First of all, we had to quit playing God. It didn't work. Next, we decided that hereafter in this drama of life, our higher power was going to be our director. They are the principal. We are their agents. They are the parent, and we are the children. Most good ideas are simple, and this concept was the keystone of the new and triumphant arch through which we had passed to freedom. When we sincerely took such a position, all sorts of remarkable things followed. We had a new employer, being all-powerful. They provided what we needed if we kept close to them and performed their work well. Established on such a footing, we became less and less interested in ourselves, our little plans and designs. More and more, we became interested in seeing what we could contribute to life. As we felt new power flow in, as we enjoyed peace of mind, as we discovered we could face life successfully, as we became conscious of their presence, we began to lose our fear of today, tomorrow, and the hereafter. We were reborn. We were now at step 3. Let's pause there. So on the top of page 63 in How It Works, chapter 5 of the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, we have right about in the middle of the page, actually, this is where they start explaining step 3. And I believe the third step prayer is coming up, or the third step passage, however you want to call it, which is something that I say often. It's a meditation, basically. We were now at step 3. Many of us said to our Maker, as we understood them, God, I offer myself to Thee, to build with me and do with me as Thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do Thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of Thy power, Thy love, and Thy way of life. May I do thy will always. We thought well before taking this step, making sure we were ready, that we could at least abandon ourselves utterly to our higher power. We found it very desirable to take this spiritual step with an understanding person, such as our partner, our best friend, or spiritual advisor. But it is better to meet our higher power alone than with one who might misunderstand. The wording was, of course, quite optional, so long as we express the idea, voicing it without reservation. Let's pause there. What they're saying here is step 3. We're making a decision to say, okay, we believe and know that it's going to take a higher power other than just me, myself, and I to fight this alcohol craving and desire and clutch obsession. So that's all step 3 is. You're saying a higher power is what's going to help me. Now, a higher power can be a man in the sky, it can be energy, it can be a spirit, it can be a goddess, it can be Ra, it can be all of the different things. It can literally be power, like kilowatts, if you want higher power, because all you have to believe is that it will take more than the power of just one you to get this done. Meaning you'll have to lean on other people, other things, other ideas, and other humans. Basically, your higher power is your group of humans. In AA, sometimes people who have a problem with the word God, they will say GOD stands for group of drunks. And group of drunks is my higher power, meaning the fellowship of the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, especially the meetings. If you can go to an online or in-person meeting, please try. You just tune in online. There's an app. Check out my short, and you'll see there's a meeting guide for anywhere around the world, online and in-person meetings. And this is where you can meet instant friends. People are so kind and friendly. If you need a friend, an instant friend, especially someone who doesn't know you, because you can leave all your baggage there. You can share. So I encourage you to do that. So basically, we are just going to be like, you know what? We need a higher power, meaning I believe that it will take more than me to relieve me of the bondage of alcohol, the bondage of self. That's why it says, relieve me of the bondage of self, meaning it's self-fulfilling, me. I need to feel buzz. I need to feel better. I need to feel different. I need to feel this. I need to feel that. Because if we shift our attitude of gratitude, we'll maybe stop poisoning ourselves. No? Ethanol is poison for the human body. It only causes inflammation and cancer and stress. So there is no safe amount of alcohol for the human body. Alcohol is not a social lubricant. Actually, alcohol is involved in more violent crimes in this country, not in more beautiful friendships. No, you can have your beautiful friendships over Capri Sun or oolong tea. Moving on. We found it very desirable to take the very first step. Okay. This was only a beginning, though, if honestly and humbly made an effect. This was only a beginning, though if honestly and humbly made, an effect, sometimes a very great one, was felt at once. Next, we launched out on a course of vigorous action, the first step of which is a personal house cleaning, which many of us had never attempted. Though our decision was a vital and crucial step, it could have little permanent effects unless at once followed by a strenuous effort to face and to be rid of the things in ourselves which had been blocking us. Our alcohol was but a symptom, so we had to get down to causes and conditions. Therefore, we started upon a personal inventory. This was step 4. See how they're just spelling it out in chapter 5 called How It Works? I love that they're not being ambiguous or not being vague. They're giving you passages to call upon your higher power. If you don't like the word God, like I don't, use higher power, Mother Nature, Goddess, love. use whatever works, and you call upon that. Therefore, we started upon a personal inventory. This was step 4. A business which takes no regular inventory usually goes broke. Taking a commercial inventory is a fact-finding and fact-facing process. It is an effort to discover the truth about the stock in trade. One object is to disclose damage or unsaleable goods, to get rid of them promptly and without regret. If the owner of the business is to be successful, he cannot fool himself about values. We did exactly the same thing with our lives. We took stock honestly. First, we searched out the flaws in our makeup, which caused our failure. Being convinced that self, manifested in various ways, was what had defeated us, we considered its common manifestations. Resentment is the number one offender. It destroys more alcoholics than anything else. From it stem all forms of spiritual disease. Let's pause there. Did you hear that? I'm going to read it again. Resentment is the number one offender. It destroys more alcoholics than anything else. From it stem all forms of spiritual disease. For we have been not only mentally and physically ill, we have been spiritually sick. When the spiritual malady is overcome, we straighten out mentally and physically. In dealing with resentments, we set them on paper. We listed people, institutions, or principles with whom we were angry. We asked ourselves why we were angry. In most cases, it was found that our self-esteem, our pocketbooks, our ambitions, or personal relationships, including sex, it's written there in parentheses. This book was written in 1939. They made a point to include sex because it's true. Were hurt or threatened. So we were sore, we were burned up. On our grudge list, we set opposite each name our injuries. Was it our self-esteem, our security, our ambitions, our personal or sex relations which had been interfered with? We were usually as definite as this example. So then they're going to go on and give us an example of a grudge list, basically. And that is your step 4, where you list all of the resentments you have. And I've gone over that in some previous videos, so visit those if you're wondering. The thing you're resentful at, what that looks like in your life, how you continue to make that part of your life, what's your role in that, and then what the solution is. And in identifying this, putting pen to paper, you can type it too, but I love the act of writing. I think it does something special for the brain and the body and the mind and kind of coalesces it all. I really believe that. I'm going to pause there at step 4 in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, chapter 5, How It Works, page 65. I will pause there for now. We've gotten through a lot of dense material, and there's so many great nuggets here. It's important that steps 1, 2, 3, and 4 are done. I don't believe you have to do the steps in any particular order. I believe you do have to do number 1 first, meaning admit you're powerless over alcohol and that your life has become unmanageable. As long as you admit that, like in regards to alcohol, that might not mean that you're drinking every day, but it will mean that the consequences of your drinking are more than you want to deal with, right? And so that's going to look different for everyone. Mine was really ugly because I'm such a great alcoholic. I can function on a little, moderate here and there, but that's where my sickness was. I thought I could control it. I definitely cannot. If I have one little sip of alcohol and taint my body, that's how I have to look at it, like someone took a poop in a pool. If alcohol comes into my body, I know I will be obsessed with that feeling it gives me from there on out until I make myself sick again or hurt someone. I'm lucky I never killed anybody because I drank and drove all the time. And I wish people would have called me out. I wish people would have given me an intervention. Maybe that would have stopped me from being drugged and assaulted from my boss, but whatever. I survived and I'm grateful. Alcohol abstinence awareness is now my purpose in life. There's no reason I should have survived. And so I'm here to tell you it's okay, whatever happened today. You're here. You're killing time and saving your own life. This is better than drinking. You can listen to this while you fall asleep, while you do housework, for something to just listen to while you're waiting in line somewhere to get your mind off of, it. Or if you have any ideas for some videos you would like to see, like reaction videos or in-depth explanations on things, go ahead and drop it in the comments. I'm very much open to suggestion on evolving this channel in a way that grasps more eyes and attitudes. I know this can get a little boring and dry. That's okay with me. We'll have a slow organic growth because alcohol abstinence is not popular, it's not sexy, it's not romantic, but it is the healthiest choice in life. And I really urge you to wrap your mind around that. That's not for everybody, but that's for me. So until next time, I hope y'all are doing well. Hey, Keith. Hey, Mary. Hope you two are doing well. And anybody who's reached out in the past, if you ghosted me, that's okay. Reach out again. I love it when people come back, ask for help. Remember that asking for help is one of the most brave things you can do. The bravest thing you can ever do. Because being strong, we can't do it all the time. But us alcohol lovers, we're kind of those types, aren't we? We're strong, 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 and then we want to relax, relax, relax. But I guarantee you can find another way. So until next time, coming at you from Pasadena, California, a very tired dental assistant. I hope you're doing well. No drinking, keep smiling, keep flossing, and namaste.
Doesn't it feel good when you're just about to do something that you know is wrong and you decide to do something else? Something that won't hurt you or anybody else? Doesn't that feel great?